But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Let me tell you about my great God. Hey guys, Tim here. All right, we're starting off, like I said, in 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 1. If you haven't read it already, by all means, pause the video, read through it a couple times, write down those things. Remember, keep a journal. All right, write down those things. If you don't got a journal yet, get a sheet of paper, and when you get a journal in the future, just put it down there as well. But you want to keep track of these things that you're reading, guys. You want to write down everything that sticks out to you, things you're learning, things that are interesting, things that you have questions about, like why is this allowed to happen, or why did it come this way? Whatever it is, write down those things, put them in your journal. All right, and those are things you can look back at, you can look over, all right, but always try to circle at least one main thing. Remember, the philosophy of this series is one chapter a day, one thing a day, each and every day. All right, one chapter, one thing, and we're going forward from that. So if you haven't read 1 Samuel chapter 1 yet, pause the video. I encourage you, read through it a couple times, writing down anything that sticks out to you, and we'll get right back into it. But if you have read it already, we're going to just continue on. All right, I'm gonna, like I said, we're going to cover kind of a general overview of the chapter, and then we're going to get into the main thing that stood out to me. All right, and the main thing that stood out to me may be different than what sticks out to you, and that's fine. You know, and in fact, that's actually a good thing. All right, not saying that we'll never have things that stick out to us that are the same. We will. All right, but it just kind of goes to show you guys, there's going to be many things that people can get out of the same chapter of the Bible. Don't think, all right, it's 1 Samuel, I know what the main thing is. You'll be surprised when you start paying attention to what you're reading, writing down those things that stick out to you. All these other things you were like, you know what, I didn't remember that. All right, well, I didn't notice that before. And you'll have different things that stick out to you. So each chapter we go over, each day, you may not have the same thing I have, but that's good. In fact, that just shows that God may be showing you something different than he showed me. All right, that doesn't mean that what I had that stood out to me is more important than what you have. All right, it just shows that God's word is deep. God's word has something for us each and every time we read it, even when it's a familiar passage to us. All right, that's a great thing. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, we're going to get into 1 Samuel chapter 1. And we start off, Samuel's not even on the scene quite yet. That's at the end of the chapter. But just kind of an overview, we start off with a man named Elkanah, and he has 2 wives. All right, right there, that's kind of that could be a thing that sticks out to you. That's not what should happen. God's picture for marriage is one man and one woman for one life. But we do see oftentimes in the Bible where many people have multiple wives, and all those times it's never going to bring peace in the family. There's always going to be problems. All right, if you ask my dad, he'll probably say some joke like, well, that's because no man can serve 2 masters. We'll leave it at that. But he had multiple wives, and it was causing problems. One, Hannah, the one that the Bible actually says he loves the most, was not able to have children, which was something women, especially back in the Bible times, really wanted to do. They wanted to have children, to have a family, to carry on the family name, and she wasn't able to do that. But the other wife, Peninnah, was. Now, Peninnah, seeing that Hannah was loved more by Elkanah than Elkanah loved her, used this to mock Hannah, to cause her grief, to almost torment her in a way, seeing that she was not loved as much as Hannah. She could at least rub Hannah's face in the fact that, hey, at least I can give kids to our husband, you can't. And this grieved Hannah. This was a very sore subject for her, and we find her in this chapter when they're going up to sacrifice unto the Lord. She's crying out unto God, and she's praying unto the Lord. Praying so much, in fact, that I don't know if you guys ever seen anyone like this. I know a couple people that are actually like this. When they pray, they're speaking with their mouth, but they're not actually saying words that are coming out. It's just they're saying what they're thinking, their mouth's moving, but no words are coming out. Eli, the priest, seeing this, thinks this woman's drunk. Well, that was kind of a harsh assessment right off the back, but that's what he believes, and he goes up to her and says, hey, stop drinking your wine, stop doing this in front of the tabernacle of the Lord. And she says, no, I am not drunk, my heart is vexed, I really want a child, and I am praying to God that if he gives me a child, I will give him back unto him. A great picture of something we see oftentimes in the Bible when people, not in the Bible, today, when you have people that dedicate their children to the Lord when they're babies. I don't know if your church has a baby dedication ceremony, but I know several churches that do. So Eli, the priest, accuses her of being drunk. Obviously, she's not. She says, I'm just praying, pouring out my heart to God. And God blesses her for her prayer. And in the future, not too long after they leave the tabernacle, she has a child, calls him Samuel because he was given of the Lord. And a couple years later down the line, she eventually brings Samuel back. Most people believe when he's about like 4 or 5 years old, brings Samuel back unto Eli so that he could work in the tabernacle. This is her keeping her promise, her vow that she made to God of giving her son back unto the Lord. And we'll see throughout the rest of 1 Samuel that Samuel was a man who loved God, that the people, when they saw him, they saw a person that wanted to follow God, and it was a great testimony unto the people. All right, so that's the overview of the chapter. Now we want to get to one main thing. Now, I talked about a lot of different stuff in this chapter, and you guys could write down a lot of different main things, but here's the one for me personally, and that is the word prayer. All right, we see Hannah here pouring her heart out to God. She's being ridiculed and mocked by Peninnah, the wife that is able to have kids, and she's very distressed and probably depressed about the fact that she's not able to, but she doesn't allow herself to be overcome by her emotions. She doesn't allow this anxiety and fear to overcome her. No, she pours her heart out to God. Guys, when we feel these emotions, when we feel like everything is against us, that we're worthless in a sense, and Hannah may have felt that way at times when Peninnah was tormenting her or ridiculing her. When we have these emotions, guys, don't bottle it up in yourselves. You can always go to the Lord with how you feel. All right, you don't just go to the Lord to ask him for something. All right, guys, don't treat God like your genie. When you go to God in prayer, you can pour your heart out to him, knowing he cares for you, he loves you, all right, and he's willing to help you through any situation you're facing. And that's what she does. She pours her heart out to God, saying, this is my situation. I long for a child. And she makes this vow to God saying, hey, if you give me a child, I will give him back to you. It kind of reminds me of James chapter 5, verse 16. The second half of that verse says that the effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And we see that in Hannah. She was a righteous woman. She wanted to honor God in having this child. She didn't simply want this child for her own selfish reasons. She wanted this child so that she could be a blessing not only to her husband, but a blessing above all unto the Lord. And God blesses her prayer because of that. So my encouragement to you guys, when you pray, all right, when you're overcome with whatever the situations are around you, when you're overcome with fear, anxiety, worry, whatever it may be, self-doubt, pour your heart out to God. God is not just your genie, so to speak. He's not just there to give you stuff that you want. No, you can pour out, hey, Lord, this is how I feel. I need your grace today, Lord. I feel small. I feel insignificant. Go to the Lord freely. Pour your heart out unto him. And that's it for today's chapter, guys. That's the main thing that stood out to me. Like I said, you may have something that stuck out to you that was different. That's great. Now I encourage you, take what you've got from God's word today. If you have an accountability partner, let them know. Send them a text, send them an email, whatever you want to do. Let them know, hey, I read 1 Samuel chapter 1, and this is what I got out of it. It doesn't have to be exhaustive, but tell somebody what you got out of God's word today and start a conversation about our great God. Hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.